Retiring at 55 with a cool $2.5 million in the bank, I mean, for a lot of us, that's it. That's the dream, right? The ultimate finish line. It screams freedom, security, a whole new life. But, and there's always a but, what does it really take to pull that off and make it stick?
All right, so let's just get right to it. Can you actually retire at 55 with a $2.5 million portfolio? I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? But really, the real question is, can you stay retired? Can that money, that huge number, actually last you 35, maybe even 40 years? We're going to break that down. Look, getting to that 2.5 million mark, that is a massive achievement, no question about it. But here's the thing, that's just the start. It's only half the battle. The other half, the really tricky part, is making sure it lasts. Because there are all these hidden risks, these little landmines that can completely blow up the best laid plans. It's a long game, and that's where it gets complicated.
So, let's tackle the first big one, navigating those market storms, especially in the first 5 years of your retirement. These are absolutely critical. Okay, check this out. This chart shows something called sequence of returns risk. It sounds kind of technical, but trust me, it's maybe the single biggest danger for an early retiree. So imagine this. You retire and you plan to pull out, say, 100 grand a year. But what if in year 1 or 2, the market tanks by 30%? Well, you still need your 100 grand, right? But now you're forced to sell your investments when they're at their absolute lowest point, and that can cripple your portfolio's ability to ever recover. It's a much, much bigger deal than if the same crash happened 20 years into your retirement. And hey, it's not just the stock market we're talking about. The whole economy, as you can see here, moves in these waves, these cycles. You've got your ups and you've got your downs. And look, if you're retired for 35 or 40 years, you are guaranteed, I mean guaranteed, to live through a few of these. You can't dodge them. But what you can do is plan for them.
This is what economists call the business cycle. And the key takeaway is that growth is never, ever a smooth ride up. There are always bumps, always corrections, and when you're retired and living off your investments, those bumps aren't just abstract numbers on a screen. No, they're a direct hit to your paycheck, to your income.
And this right here, this quote just nails it. You have to plan for the risk that the economy is going to throw you a curveball. A plan that just assumes, average returns and everything going perfectly, well, that's not really a plan. It's a lottery ticket, and you don't want to be gambling with your retirement.
Okay, so that brings us to the next big problem, the income gap. You gotta figure out how to bridge the years to 60 and beyond. So this timeline really lays out the challenge, right? At 55, you pop the champagne, you're retired. Awesome. But wait, you can't touch your main retirement accounts like your traditional IRA, penalty-free until you're 59 and a half. You're a full decade away from being eligible for Medicare. And getting your full Social Security, you're looking at 12 years, maybe more. These aren't little gaps you can just hop over. They're massive canyons, and that $2.5 million has to get you across all on its own. Let's zoom in on that first gap, right? The one up to age 59 and a half. If you try to pull money out of your traditional IRA before then, you're going to get hit with a nasty 10% penalty, and that's on top of the regular income tax you have to pay. Now, yeah, there are some exceptions, like something called the Rule of 55 for your most recent 401k, but for most people, it's a big problem. This is exactly why having other pots of money, like a regular brokerage account or money you can pull from a Roth IRA, is so, so critical. It's your bridge fund.
And Social Security, we all think about it, right? But for someone retiring at 55, it's basically a mirage on the horizon. It's a great supplement for income way down the road, but it was never, ever designed to fund the first 10 or 12 years of an early retirement. It's just not there for you when you're just starting out.
Okay, next up is the healthcare hurdle. And honestly, this is probably the one thing that can absolutely wreck an early retirement plan if you're not prepared for it. We're talking about covering all your costs before Medicare. And the difference between being 55 and 65 is just, it's night and day. Before you turn 65, you're on your own. You've got to find private insurance, maybe through the ACA marketplace, but either way, the costs can be staggering. We're talking potentially thousands of dollars a month for a couple. Then, boom, you hit 65 and you've got Medicare. That 10-year gap in between, that is when you're at your most financially exposed. So what makes that private insurance so expensive? Well, it all comes down to personal risk factors. They look at your age, your health history, whether you smoke, all that stuff. And here's the scary part. One bad diagnosis, something totally unexpected,
doesn't just mean a huge medical bill right now. It could also jack up your insurance premiums for years and years, just constantly draining your nest egg.
All right, let's move on to our final big hurdle, the tax challenge. Because you know the old saying, right? It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. So when it comes to your retirement accounts, you basically have two paths, two choices about when you want to pay your taxes. With a traditional IRA, you get a tax break on the money you put in now, which is great. But when you take it out in retirement, every single dollar is taxed as income. Then you have the Roth IRA. It's the total opposite. You pay the taxes today on the money you contribute, but then all your qualified withdrawals in retirement, 100% tax-free. And this is why having a mix of these accounts is like having a full toolkit. It gives you options, flexibility. One of the smartest strategies for early retirees is something called a Roth conversion ladder. Think about it. In those early years from 55 until Social Security kicks in, your income is probably pretty low. So you can take some money from your traditional IRA, convert it to a Roth, and pay the taxes on it while you're in a lower tax bracket. Then, after 5 years, that money is seasoned, and you can pull it out completely tax-free. It's like building your own little pipeline of tax-free cash for later. Okay, so let's put it all together. We've talked about market risk, that big income gap, the healthcare beast, and the tax puzzle. I know, it can sound a little overwhelming, but just knowing about these things, that's the first step to building a plan that can actually handle them. It's how we get from a dream to a real workable plan.
So how do you make that $2.5 million actually last a lifetime? Well, it boils down to these 4 big ideas. Number 1, you have to respect that the market goes up and down. Number 2, you've got to build those bridges to get you through the income gaps. Number 3, you have to treat healthcare like the massive, non-negotiable expense that it is. And finally, number 4, you got to be smart about how you take your money out to keep your tax bill low. You do those 4 things, and you've got a resilient, durable plan.
And that really brings us to the final big question you have to ask yourself. Is your retirement plan built for a fairy tale, or is it built for the real world? It's so easy to drop a plan where the stock market only goes up and nothing ever goes wrong. But a real plan, a successful plan for retiring at 55, that one has to be built for reality with all its messy ups and downs. So, is your plan ready for that?